Welcome, welcome to another episode of Conversations for Epic Living. Today I'm here with Antonio D'Souza.
And I'm out in space, baby.
You are out in space. You are on top of the world. I love it.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for talking with me today.
my pleasure.
Will you tell us a bit about you? So, Antonio, I'll introduce you by saying he just wrote this amazing book called Lockdown on Self-Love. I'm halfway through it. I did not get finished before our conversation, but I'm already so moved by the raw vulnerability and the wisdom on every page. So that's and we're in a group together that's all about focusing on your being, right? So maybe we can talk a little bit about that later, but that's how I know Antonio. And this is our first time talking. So I know we've interacted a little bit on, the group that we're in. But yeah, will you introduce yourself? Tell us about you a bit.
I first of all want to say that I find this really interesting that me and you met through the group, the Ultimate Coach, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the Ultimate Coach group. And talk about a book about being. I don't know if you. Oh no, you haven't. Oh yeah, because
Yeah,
I sent you a digital copy of my book, didn't I?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a good. I'll introduce myself as following. So, at the back of my cover, at the back of my book, this is what I came up with,
Mhm.
and I'll grab the Ultimate Coach as well.
Yeah, yeah. We got to see the
So,
whole world while you were away. There we go.
oh wow! So that's the Ultimate Coach. Oh, it plays. Oh, because wow!
That's part of the green screen. Yeah, there's the
Yeah,
Ultimate Coach book. I could get mine. Oh, here it
yeah,
is. Look
that's
at
that.
this. I have it right here.
Brilliant,
That was
brilliant.
fast. Yeah,
And this is mine. Whoa, that's crazy.
there you go.
Yeah. So in the back of my cover, well, let's start off with the Ultimate Coach. So on the Ultimate Coach, it says it pretty much has this whole description. But what I want to prioritize is basically this: who would you need to be a more loving person? Who would you need to be a more effective parent? Who would you need to create a level of confidence that is remarkable? Who would you need to be at peace with who you are? Who would you need to be fully in love with yourself in life?
Mm.
I'm saying in third version, by the way. Who would I need to be to live the most extraordinary life that I can live? So that's at the back of the cover, and I came across this book oh around the time that I was just about to publish. And I had already written my description, and this is why I was blown away. And I had to
Ah,
read The Ultimate
yeah,
Coach
yeah.
because I was like, talk about synchronicity, you know? And
Mhm.
he added a level to the piece of the puzzle that I was kind of missing, you know,
Yeah.
and I just didn't have clarity with. And so at the back of my cover, it says, "Imagine for a minute that another version of you materializes before your own eyes with all of life's answers, saying, from now on, you won't have to worry about a thing. Everything will be taken care of. From this day on, moving forward, your life is going to improve. You both hold on to one another and have a good cry. You then hear, this too shall pass. You'll then ask the following set of questions. How can I be of service to you? How can I support you? What areas of your life would you like to improve, and how can I help? Lastly, how can I love you? The most important relationship there will ever be in is the one with yourself. There's other description just to follow that. But yeah, so can you see the relevance?
Yes. No,
And
this is all the same work, right?
and I was like,
Same
wow.
work. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so going back to your question, my name is Antonio D'Souza, and I'm the author of the Lockdown on Self-Love. I'm a self-belief and self-joy facilitator, and I specialize in self-love. I'm inspiring to be a coach, public speaker. Really enjoying myself, very much in the infancy of this journey that I'm on, so far as how it's unraveled. I'm also a plasterer by trade. I'm a father of two children. And this is the reason why my book is called The Lockdown on Self-Love is because I had the opportunity in the beginning of 2020 to pause, you know, with everything that was
Mhm.
going on in the world.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity literally to pause. And I had a spiritual awakening previous to that, at a really interesting point in my life when I was going through a great deal of devastation, really, so far as heartbreak is concerned and kids involved. Previous to that, I had substance abuse for about 10 years using narcotics, and you can only imagine, really, so far as having an addiction. That was pretty much ruling my life and my emotional and well-being and my emotion. Yeah. So I wasn't in a good state of mind.
Mhm.
And so with the whole spiritual awakening, which I'm happy to speak more about,
Yeah, tell us
um,
everything.
yeah, which I'm happy to speak more about, it got me to realize I was taking life for granted, that I
Yeah.
was living with a victim mentality, and that I loathed myself. And so in 2020, being given the opportunity to pause just gave me an opportunity to introspect and self-analyze, really, discover who I was and why was I a certain way. So that's where it grew from, because I found it so fascinating. I just wanted to get to know myself, really.
Yeah.
And from there came the realization that the most important relationship there will ever be in is the one with yourself. That the most important project you'll ever work on is yourself.
Absolutely. It's the seed of how we see the whole world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
so what took you to the point of writing your book, right? So a lot of us go through something and it's so wonderful when we can start to witness ourselves, right? That's such, I call that like the first awakening. That's such a gift when we can step back, right? And drop the shame just long enough, right? To look, wait, what am I doing? Right? And be honest with ourselves about it and consider that maybe doing it a different way would get, results and connection and freedom and all the things we've been craving this whole time, right? That it's available inside of us. So what took you from there to the point where you're like, I'm going to write a book about this?
To be honest, it just came from a lot of pain, really.
Uh-huh.
Uh, what did I have to lose? I was feeling suicidal. I was feeling very suicidal, and yeah, um, it just it just came from this realization of what am I giving my life to, what am I here for, and with the realization that our, our our purpose here really is to contribute, to add to
Yeah,
life,
yeah, yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
take from.
yeah.
And I felt like I came to acknowledge, really, that I was just taking from everyone, really,
Mm,
taking away from myself, neglecting myself, and thus everyone else.
yeah, yeah. I find purpose to be, everyone's rock bottom is somewhere different. We all hit them, right? And I feel like for everybody though, some sense of purpose, right, and self-worth is like the rocks that we put our feet on to push back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. So, I have some quotes here from the book that I wanted to talk about, and then I would love to talk about the questions you have on the back because I hadn't read that part, but they sound really wonderful and useful. Um, so at the beginning, you talk about it was in the introduction, I think. Here's what you said. You get to choose how to feel. That's like a revelation, right? That we get to choose how we feel, that we have some effect on that. My favorite part is we all want to feel happy and loved. Why not offer that to yourself? And I love how you phrase that because it's not like a go offer it to yourself, because you should, because you'll be better, right? That would be going back into like the self criticism, whipping yourself to do a better job. But I love how you present questions in this book, um, just as an invitation. Like, why not offer that to yourself? And then leave this blank space. And
Mm.
so, what is your answer to that? Do you have like an answer, why we haven't been offering that to ourselves?
I guess I okay, perhaps I can say it like this, right? So you're looking at the screen, you're looking at me right now, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's just looking at me right now, right? And well, what I mean to say is like everyone's just using their eyes, right? We're using our
Yeah.
eyes see what's external. We just see
Yeah.
what's outside of us.
Yeah.
And you know, we got all this stuff going inside, and we bump into people and they make us feel a certain way. Things make us feel a certain way. We go to the shop, you know, we're drawn to certain things, you know, they make us feel a certain way. We avoid, and we are magnetized towards things based on you know, our interests, right?
Yeah.
And where I'm going with that is, so far as relationships is concerned, and friendships, you know,
Yeah.
oh, I like that person because you know, he's really, you know, he's so funny, and you know, he makes me laugh. But then, so far as ourselves is concerned, we don't see no value in the sense of prioritizing yourself so far as to I'll say it like this, all right. So I almost no one person wakes up in the morning, yeah, and says to themselves, "Today I'm gonna have a bad day. How can I make today the worst day?
Right.
How can I make today the
Right.
worst
Right.
possible?" You know.
Mhm.
But no
Mhm.
one person either wakes up in the morning, kisses their own hand, mwah, and
Like
says,
you
"Hello,
do.
beautiful." Yeah, and says, "Hello, beautiful. Have the best day ever, you absolute legend." So, without what I mean to say is offering yourself like everything that your friends would, and your family, and for the majority of the time, where we come from, you know, where we tend to feel anguish. So, for example, in a sense of when relationships are concerned, because of our expectations, but
Yeah.
we have very little expectations of our own selves, really.
Yes, that's an incredible point. And it's this, I think it's the process of growing up. When we're little, we do look to the people outside of us to fill all the thing, you know, all the ways we want to feel loved, right? And then I think those patterns become, you know, habitual, and maybe then we look to other people, you know, as we age and as we expand, make new families, make new friends, we look to them to fill those gaps, right? And I think what the transition you're talking about is the switch to realizing the power that you have to fill it for yourself, right?
That's what I meant to say. Yeah,
Yeah,
in this
yeah,
short, is that how we're sensory beings, really, and it
yeah,
was so external to everything is just met externally, really,
yeah,
and we don't provide ourselves. We're in love, if not from within, you know.
yeah,
We're in, you know, happiness, if not from within, and you got to kind of cultivate that yourself and understand so far as where you stand, really, and how you feel at
isn't
present.
that like a wonderful secret to know that like there's happiness inside and there's love inside and you can just go get it?
Yeah, I'm still working on it.
We all, that's the journey, isn't it? That's like the lifelong, you know, you and me like self-love coaches, and like we still we understand we have to wake up every morning and do it,
Yeah.
you know? It's not, I don't think, you know, maybe it's more automatic for me than it used to be, but I still need to do it, to show myself love, right? To ask myself those questions and to listen to the answers.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Which is a level of being conscious, really, isn't it? This is,
Yes. Oh my gosh. I was like, I want to coach on self-love for the rest of my life because then I focus on loving myself every
yeah,
day, right?
yeah.
That's
So
the gift.
I love that you said that, because that's the whole what I created for myself. Really, it's a lifestyle. How I want to treat myself is that's what I give back.
Yeah. So tell me about your self-love lifestyle. Let's like coin that. Self-love lifestyle. That's beautiful. What do you do to take care of yourself?
Why am I finding that difficult to answer? Little things like just creating ritualistic. If I just made that up, I
I think
just made
that's a word.
ritualistic. Just creating little moments, really, where I just take time with myself. You know, little things like just go for a jacuzzi, but actually be
Yeah.
present with myself. You know, to meditate, really. I think that's why I found a passion towards meditation, really, because it was a chance for me to just go within myself, really, and just honor so far as just what it means to be alive with myself, just be within and just myself, and not having anything to worry about, not having to do anything, but just having a moment within myself. I light a candle, say some
Yeah.
affirmations, you know. Um, and yeah, do my best, in the mirror, just be kind to myself. One of the things I do as well, I've been doing for 3 months now, is literally I wake up first thing in the morning, and yeah, I kiss my own hand.
So
And
beautiful. That's so beautiful.
yeah, it's taken a while, I do go through spells of feeling goofy, and yeah, just to already say to myself, I love you, and yeah, yeah. Well, hello, beautiful, and have the best day ever, you absolute legend. But I guess this is a good opportunity, really, to speak about the subject. I imagine you probably want to ask me what do I feel about self love? What does self love mean to me?
Right. Yes. Yes. Yes.
So, my realization with it, really, after only ever being in two serious long term relationships,
Yeah.
and I've been a recluse as well for about 15 years, really, I believe, give or take. I've
Yeah.
been a bit of a recluse. So it was just a realization so far as how so just to take care of myself,
Mhm.
respect myself, and trust and build trust with myself, and be my own best friend. And
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
the, and the realization so far is like, look, I've obviously was going through a lot of heartbreak and everything that I needed from there. So far as feeling like I was neglected, but
Yeah.
then to not neglect myself and to treat myself how I want other people to treat me, really. So I just,
Yes. Yes.
that's where it just came from. Just so far as offering myself, seeing myself, feeling myself, hearing myself, and not taking myself for granted. Then just realization, really, like I wake up in the morning and it's just me, like I wake up first thing and I go to bed and I've got to brush my teeth.
Yeah.
So just like this whole parent dynamic, really, so far as like me still being young, but now I'm old, and obviously, and just take care of my inner child and take care of my soul, really, and just take care of myself.
Yeah. What a beautiful realization that um having a relationship with yourself is like exactly the same as having a relationship with other people, right? In
Yeah,
that you have to know, imagine how you would treat another person, that you loved so much, a child, or like you said, that your inner child, or anybody that you cared for so much, and you wanted this relationship to be so good. You wanted to preserve it and you wanted it to flourish. Like,
yeah,
how would you treat that person? And that's
yeah,
how I think, like, I want to treat myself that
yeah,
way. Someone
and
that I treasure so much.
yeah. And look, and it's crazy sometimes how we can speak to ourselves. And
Yeah.
if you were to hear somebody else speak to you, if you were to hear someone speak the same way as you speak to yourself, to your children, for example, you'd go around like, you what?
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and like, it's, yeah, we could be so mean to our own selves. I mean, look, look, I can realize basically about 2 years ago a lot of things really that I loathed myself in this and the other, that I hated myself, and so on and so forth. So it was just understanding, really, when I was starting to walk past the mirror and notice that, wow, I'm calling myself ugly. I'm
Yeah.
calling myself a dickhead. I'm calling myself, like, I'm being so mean to myself. What's that all
Mm.
about?
Yeah, our bodies can't tell the difference between when someone else says that to us and when we say that to us,
Well,
right? We're having the same reaction in our body. So
yeah,
I call it like where any self-rejection is self-harm, and which hurts, and we just live with that chronic pain, right? Isn't
yeah,
that kind of a form of chronic pain?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, what a conversation.
Right? Beautiful. I knew we were
Yeah.
going to have a good one. So, okay, another thing you mentioned in the book, Antonio, was, and I always say this funny, the ho'oponopono. How do you
Yeah.
say that?
Hope and opo.
Ho'opono.
Yeah.
It has a
Hope
lot of like N's and O's and P's. So, um, I had been familiar with it before, but I tried it again since I, just read it the other night in your book, and it was like such a wonderful reminder. Um, so it goes, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And those can be the hardest things to say to other people, right? And So is that something, is that, I know you wrote it, you offered it as a suggestion in your book. Is that something you do on the regular with you? Inspired?
And no, not on a regular. Basically, I
Mhm.
told you I had I said I had a drug problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, writing the book was a really interesting experience. Obviously, I was still healing and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Uh, there was a few moments in the process of writing the book that I had rebounds,
Mhm.
and so with the rebounds, I was calling myself a fraud. Give up. You're making a fool out of yourself.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, you've ruined every opportunity, really. I mean, you want to
Yeah.
publish a book and you talk about this and that and the other.
Yeah.
You've just had a huge rebound that could have been very traumatic and so on and so forth. Obviously drug induced as well with the come downs. I was depressed. I was, a lot of shame.
Yeah.
Very ashamed of myself and the things that I got up to. And I'd have go through moments where, thankfully for the Hoponopo, I'd have moments where I'd be in bed, because I'd be up all night, right? I was up all
Yeah.
night, up until the moment that the birds were chirping. I'd look in the mirror, I looked like a gremlin, just so I was getting ready to sleep maybe about 10 in the morning, and I'll be asleep all day. So I'm having these moments where I'm lying in bed, sweating, as I said, shamed, biting the side of my mouth
Mhm.
prolifically.
Uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, so it was an amazing gift that I was able to say that to myself,
Yeah.
over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And he offered me a level of comfort.
Yeah. I can imagine. I mean, I wasn't there, right? But I can relate to the I'm writing this book and I feel like a fraud, having a relapse, having using again. But don't you think that contributed to the depth and the realness of what you wrote? Because if you weren't in such a hard time, having such a hard time, right? Then like you wouldn't be able to offer such powerful guides for transformation, right? Like you were doing it sounds like, as you wrote the book, right? That's so powerful. To me, that makes it real,
Hmm. Ev- Everything truly is working out for you.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
If you start to just trust and this whole
Yeah.
process of what it is life, and just being grateful, understanding. I mean, if I've had realizations sometimes of what it really means to be alive, And I mean, if
Yes.
everyone, sometimes we almost forget that we take it for granted, right? And if we
Yeah.
really knew the depth, the magnitude of what it means to be alive, we'd all be like, "Whoa, we'd be going nuts." I mean, the craziness and weirdo would not even exist because we'd all be like, "Whoa."
We'd all be frolicking all the time, right?
Celebrating every single second.
Let's do it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
um, yeah, where was I going with that? Yeah, but thank you for that realization. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's what I that's what was so useful. I have found it so useful this week um to have your stories in my brain. It's brought me gratitude, it's brought me awareness of my own inner strength. Um and it's given me more access to self-love. Not just through, the things that you suggest or that you offer, Hopopono, but just from watching, you talk about going to jail. I've never been to jail, right? And but talking about the awakenings that you had about your life being worth something, and um who you're willing to be to take care of yourself, um that was inspiring. That really touched me, and it gave me deeper access, right, to how I could love myself, right? And to know that I will too be there for myself in my darkest moments, right? In the scariest times, I've got my back, just like you had your back. And that's such a gift, such a gift. Um, the the other thing I have written from the book, which I wrote down because it's been very powerful for me, not that it's done, like you said, but it's a powerful practice to cut out all need for validation from others, right? What has been your experience with that? Needing validation for others and then changing your mind.
Where do I start?
Yeah, right? That's
um, Obviously, you've read about some stuff I would rather not mention about right now. Anybody interested, feel free to get my
right.
book. Yeah, The Lockdown on Self-Love is now on Amazon. Um, but what I will say, what I'm happy to say now is, look, even the Ryan, the process, I was led to believe I was dyslexic, this and yada, yada, yada. Everyone thought I was nuts, you're writing a book, really. I've had comments, for example, even from relatives, if I was to write a book, it'd be better than yours,
That,
stuff like that.
that shows their level of self-love, right? Like this is an opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and look, I was having a hard time believing in myself, really. I was having a hard time believing that I was doing this. I was having a hard time. I just had to just validate myself to that I am good enough and I am, that I am worthy and I am lovable. I just had to constantly, I had to come to understand that. And so far as come to understand so far as well with everything that I might not feel that I might feel like I need to improve on, and
Yeah.
whatever's kind of holding me back is that I'm just trying to make myself feel safe, really.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, with the whole validation is again just offering myself the support and comfort and love I needed when it
Yeah.
might have felt like no one else understood or was able to give me that or wasn't giving me any peace of mind or attention.
Yeah. So it sounds like learning to give yourself and choosing, right? Because it's a choosing every single day, to validate yourself. It
Yeah,
kind of freed you from needing other people's.
yeah. So yeah, look, the only reason why I said as well, like, is something I didn't really want to speak about, is because that's something I didn't really want to put any focus on. So far as
Mm.
with the fact that I haven't had much emotional and mental support,
Mhm.
basically, that's what it came down to. When I mentioned I was feeling really suicidal, I don't know where I would be in my mind, in my heart, in my soul. I'd hate to think where I was now in life. I really would, because I couldn't take it anymore. I was just under conflict with everyone, complete conflict, and it
Yeah.
felt like. But this is where I can realize as well. Like, I mean, for one, I got stopped. What formed the book in a way was like I got tired of feeling like I was just existing, and I said yes to life. I found
Yeah.
something that made me feel alive, and I just
Yeah.
went for it. So this came from a lot of pain, and I was just clinging on to anything that would offer me a bite of happiness. I wasn't
Yeah.
able to find that with anyone else. And, I came to, find out, I stopped feeling like no one cares about me and stopped
Yeah.
neglecting myself.
Yeah.
And with that, with everything I came to learn so far as affirmations and forgiving myself, having a heart to heart with myself. I mean,
Mhm.
at the nitty gritty, at the core, at
Yeah.
the very core of this, at the heart of this book, this is what it is. It's me having a heart to heart with myself. Like,
Yes.
I would like to get to know you.
Yeah.
How can I help you?
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the questions on the back of the book because
Yeah.
they're so powerful. I feel like you just led us there. Um, and the first one, I mean, the one you just mentioned, I guess, is how can I help you? Right? And that's so much more powerful to ask yourself than to have someone else ask of you because I know there were times in my life where I really would like some more help, but I just couldn't, the thoughts would come up in my mind, but I couldn't say it out loud to the other person, right? Like I have my third baby at home and my husband's working a lot and I just feel overwhelmed. Luckily, I did have one friend who just decided, she's like, I'm coming over and bringing dinner, right? But I couldn't quite get it past my lips, right? To like say, can you bring me dinner once a week? Or, but when it's yourself, the thoughts in your head, you hear them, right? It's so intimate. Maybe that's isn't that maybe this is the next question, but it is the ultimate intimacy, being intimate with yourself, right? So how how has asking yourself, how can I help you, improved your relationship with yourself? Like, or what have you gotten from that?
It's it's again going back to the whole validation thing. Like I guess for a long time, really, I was just asking everybody else what they
Yeah.
thought. Oh, what do you think about this? What do you think
Mm.
about that? What do you think I should do? Do you like how how I look? Does this look around myself?
Yeah.
You no one's like prioritizing how I feel and think about it. Am I really comfortable? And asking that question myself, really not paying, not seeing the value in what I have to say and what I have to think, and as well owning for the fact that yes, I'm aware. I do trust my intuition. I do trust my thought. But this, all right, I'm going to go back to this. So I was led to believe, really, that I didn't trust I was led to believe that I can trust my thought process.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
led to believe I can trust my emotions. For one, as well, because I was usually quite sensitive. I'd get easily frustrated
Yeah.
and I might get angry. But then, it was times where was made to feel like I'm in the wrong for even feeling anger and frustration.
Yeah. Hmm.
So a lot of that, yeah, a lot of that grew with a level of acceptance, really, and
Yeah.
so also to accept what I have to think. But like those questions, really, this is where it came from.
Yeah.
So my spiritual awakening was induced by plant medicine,
Mhm.
and that's what ended up happening. I had I myself manifested before my own eyes, really, and
Mhm.
asked me this question, and just got me to introspect. It
Yeah.
got me to self-inquire,
Yeah. Yeah.
really, and yeah, and the biggest question was, what do I want out of life? And obviously, with everything that I was going through in my life, so far as devastation and whatnot, I didn't want that anymore. I've been in two serious long-term relationships, one of which I got a child by each. To even like I was going through, yeah, I was thinking to myself like, is this my life? I'm just gonna find another lady. I'm just gonna get in another relationship.
Yeah.
Chances are I could have a child with her as well.
Yeah.
Should I get the snip? Even thinking, wondering about that. You know, wondering if
Practical
me,
solutions. Yeah.
wondering if I'm going to break up. Wondering if I'm going to break up with her. Like, how am I going to cope? Am I going to get
Mhm.
depressed again? Am I going to be suicidal again? So a lot of that, yeah. How can I support you? How can I be of service? How can I love you? It was just this whole to just educate myself, really, and just get to know myself deeply, like to just acknowledge everything that I am suppressing. What are my blockages? What are my limited beliefs? How do I view myself?
Yeah.
Because at its core, really, I came to find out, that I'm only going to meet everyone else in the world itself by the level that I meet myself.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No, for me, I'm interested in changing the world. I'm like super meta. I'm like, let's, I don't even like to use the word fix anymore. Let's evolve. Let's do whatever's next that'll bring comfort to the pain that we have now,
I can't
you know?
wait for you to read Spiral Dynamics then.
Yes. So when I saw that picture on your book, I knew that I wanted to read it. That was, I don't know when that was, but I teach self-love because it's the first step, right? It's like the big elephant in the room that's missing because we look at everybody the same. We have this idea of what a human is and what it means to be alive, like you were saying, and what it means to be human. And the way we treat ourselves is just reflected. The way we see ourselves is just reflected in every single person that we're around, right? And the 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 most intimate way, the most at its core way to shift everything out in the world is to shift everything inside and
Yeah.
design this inside relationship, right? Exactly like we'd want the world to be. I call it be the world you want to live in,
Yeah.
right? And if we can be it, then we are a little piece of the surface of the earth bopping around. We've changed something, right? And then that can get reflected
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
And that is deep, right? Because that's the level of accepting yourself.
Yeah.
Like, generally accept yourself,
Yeah.
not judge your own self.
Yeah.
While we're judging everyone else and everyone, and everything, and and so on and so forth, and not accepting other people's behavior and acting out like our shit don't stink when it does, It's a
Mhm.
level of being just real, and just authentic, and look as well. So far as, I mean, self love for one is really deep, because I think I read this from Ram Dass only a couple of days ago, when it was a whole subject. He was talking about self love, and he was like, "Look, I'm supposed to be Ram Dass,
Yeah.
and I get cranky, I get
Yeah.
moody, I feel agitated sometimes, and I speak
Yeah.
to people, and I've got to pretend I'm be nice when I don't want to be nice, because I'm aggy right now. Don't get on my nerves."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
uh, so yeah, that's it was just with that level of humility, really.
Yeah. And um if you really, the deeper you get into self-love, the more you end up, for me, I can speak for myself. For me, the deeper I get into self-love, the more I love the world, right? Because if I can see that I have every iteration inside of me, right?
Yeah.
And say, I can walk around my whole life and say things are like this, I have to deal with it. Things are like this. Or I can walk around my whole life and say, this is how things are. This is the world. I love it as it is, right? And so if I can see all the iterations inside me and practice loving at that level, then every iteration I find that before I used to judge and now I can love, doesn't mean prefer love, right? It just means put your love on. Then I just automatically do that when I see that iteration out in the world,
Yeah.
And so the more I love me, and it's not love like a lot, it's like committed to tending, committed to accepting, right? The more I love the whole frickin' world, and then I get to live in it,
Oh,
you
amazing.
know? Yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
it's incredible.
Good stuff. It's the core of everything, right? So, I'm interested, what other influences have you had that have brought you here? So we talked about Steve, which we can talk about again if you want, but other than so we're talking about Steve Hardison. Here's the book. His wife Amy Hardison wrote this book about him. It's a good book. Get it if you haven't read it. But what other, and you mentioned Ram Dass, which I listen to him all the time. Him and Alan Watts are like, that's my jam. Um, who else has influenced you, or what other resources have you had in your life, or do you keep in your life?
I'm not really much of a follower, to be honest with you. I don't yeah, I'm not really a follower. I'm more of a I just flow, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm a flower. But initially it was Deepak Chopra's 21 meditation. Oh,
Cool.
got a notification. Low battery. Yeah, it was a 21-day meditation through Deepak Chopra, and
Uh-huh.
I've done a meditation, and I've done a vision board, and that's how the book grew. It was from a
Yeah.
vision board. Yeah.
Wow.
You want to hear the story?
Yes, please.
Okay, so yeah, one night, and so as you hear this as well, I want you to feel into the process of, obviously this has come with a lot of level of comfort, being comfortable, and I've been dealing with all sorts of blockages so far as being
Mhm.
ashamed, and what have you, and feeling like as well I needed sometimes. I was this was pointed out a while back. You speak sometimes as if you've got to justify and you've got to apologize.
Mhm.
So this I've come with I've been in the surrendering and just accepting things just are, things just is, and at the same time I ought to be bloody, I ought to be really grateful, really, because it's formed into a book for all the experiences, right? It wouldn't have
Yes,
otherwise.
yes, yes.
But yeah. So anyhow, I did a vision board. I was inspired by the 21-day meditation, and he had a gap on it. And I had it up on top of my cupboard there by my bed at the time, where I could see it every night and every morning. And it was such an amazing experience doing the vision board. I would recommend it for anybody that's like feeling a little bit lost or feeling a little bit sad, just feels like they've been dealt in shuffle, hand of cards, and life is happening for them rather than happen against them,
Yeah,
rather
yeah,
than for them.
yeah,
And at that particular time, I was very, disheartened, and I created this vision board, and it just filled me up with hope and inspiration, really. Like, so far as how my love life would be like, what business would be like, and myself, and what have you, traveling, whatever. It was a moment that filled me up with a lot of hope and joy, really. And I enjoyed the experience when otherwise, I was really just morbid and depressed. But yeah, they had a gap, and one night, basically, I was induced off my. Antonio had done what he was accustomed to do. I led myself to believe it was the most fun thing to do, really. What formed out of my drug abuse was sex addiction, really. One of which, I enjoyed nothing to. Like I said, I led myself to believe the only fun thing to do, and I looked forward to it, really,
yeah,
to just get high on drugs, and I'll be at it all night, playing, having fun,
yeah,
sex. And that particular night, I ran out, and look, he was horrible. I don't know if anyone knows about a come down. It's awful. You're depleted of all your dopamine, serotonin, and you like, it's like a hangover times
yeah,
100. You feel guilt, you feel shame, and you're just completely just in a hole, in a rut, in a cape. You've been up all night, and this and the other, and withdrawal as well. This you'd sell your right arm, really, to get some more, to but anyhow, uh I was having these panic attacks, and I felt like all my neighbors was outside, like, we know what you've been up to, you should be ashamed of yourself, you should be disgusted. But I also could see my child's mother, which she had just recently left me. She was outside with her family as well, like all pointing a finger at the window outside, like, haha, we know what he's up to. Yeah, he used to get up to this. Yeah, he's well disgusting, this and the other. And yeah, look, I don't know what happened, but it was like I just got up out of my bed. I grabbed a pen, and I wrote on that gap, which is really interesting. And there was a gap that I didn't know what to do anything with, and I got up
yeah.
and I wrote on that gap that I would write a book inspired by Eckhart Tolle for his spirituality and wisdom, and Russell Brand for his openness and charisma.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that came up, and I had many days and nights I would look at that and think, really, you're going to write a book?
Right. Me? Write a
Yeah,
book? What? Yeah,
yeah. Um, so yeah, look, you mentioned about what do I follow, and and what have you. I'm just open to receive, really. I've just been grateful for the ideas that blessed me,
yeah,
and welcoming. Been I play this little game. I try to let all the teachers present themselves. I
wow,
try
yeah, yeah,
the teachers just present themselves, really. Like, the information just comes I just allow myself to be receptive.
yes, yes. Well, you named Russell Brand and Eckhart Tolle, um, both two men that I would recommend to anybody um, to get a taste of. They're really wonderful, and I can so see how Russell Brand's, um, I mean, his whole thing was addiction as well. I mean, his work for a while was recovery, right? Um, so I feel, yeah, grateful for him as a resource.
Yeah, absolutely. He's
Yeah.
he's done.
And
Yeah.
so, I'm sure soon you'll be having an interview with him, right? We'll put that on the vision board.
I'd love that. I would really love to send my book because I know he'd love it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I know you'd absolutely love it because some of the subjects speak about. I mean, you wait till you get what chapter are you up to?
I'm halfway. I'm on page 100 and something. So whatever about halfway is.
Oh, I don't know what that is. Yeah. All right. So you've come to some juicy stuff, really.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Totally. Yeah, yeah.
Have you got to the story of me going to a sex shop yet?
No, but now I'm
Maybe
looking.
not. That's so funny, that story. Oh, so you haven't got to the juicy bit yet, the things, yeah?
Okay, good. There's more to look forward to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, chapter 17. I was this close from burning the book.
To not publish it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, what has that experience been like? Because I know, me and everybody else who is being an entrepreneur or um, just in any way putting themselves out there, even a little bit, right? There can be major insecurity and anxiety. And you've put yourself out there a large bit, right? With all these stories. How has that been for you?
Scary,
Mhm.
frightening.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm processing. I'm still growing. I've only just recently gave myself a break because I can be hard on myself to say it should just accept that I'm healing. That I don't have to make out like I have to feel like I've got to be perfect, like I have to
Yeah.
portray to the world that I am strong, that I've got to figure it out because I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Um, but mainly, I've just been terrified because my biggest insecurity was I'm just going to be ridiculed, and that
Mhm.
this is irreversible. Um, Also, my children, they're young,
Huh?
uh, you know, and my family. How what would be the consequences? What would be the collateral damage?
Of them
Uh,
reading it. Yeah.
yeah, and how would everyone take it? But then, going back to the whole self-love thing again, it's like, well, this is my life.
Yeah.
These are my experiences. That's how I felt. It's not being around the bush. Like, it is just what it is.
What a gift reality is. This is
Yeah,
back to like loving yourself is about being in reality with you, right? Because any fairy tale we live in is when we live there, we're rejecting part of ourselves and our experience.
yeah.
So if that's the only gift, if no one else tries Hopopono, right? But they get a taste of you being 100% real. That, you know, that in itself is an invitation for us to look at the realness of us, you
I
know.
think that's the illusion, really. We've just all been like, everybody just get along, just don't, just be normal.
The normal thing. Yeah.
Yeah, just be
Basically,
normal. Just
yeah.
be normal. Don't stick out. Don't be too big for your shoes. Don't draw attention to yourself.
Yeah.
This the lie we've been fed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
lie we bought into.
So, I've been into Robert Keegan's work, and he's
Okay.
about, do you know who Robert Keegan is? I learned about him through JP Morgan. He is a developmental psychologist, but he studies adult development. And there's stages of adult development that we can go through. Not everybody does, right? But when you were talking about turning inward for the first time and asking yourself what you want your life to be like, that's the transition from the socialized mind to the self-authoring mind. And it's huge. And it makes perfect sense that like it was enough of a massive awakening for you to like write a book about, And I think your book being out there will help other people make that transition too, right? And if there's a way to serve the world, that's it. Helping people become self-authoring, because that's how being self-authoring of our own lives are the same skills that help us author the world that we live in.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how much more power can you have? Like you're saying how back to how you were not, you're an imposter, you're uh not perfect, you still don't want to put on this perfect thing. Like you, regular old guy, right, are doing the most powerful thing you can do in the world. is help people evolve so that we can take better care of our planet and our society and the world, right? So thank you so much for the work that you've done on yourself and for sharing it with everybody. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You just this just came to my mind. I just feel like it's sad. I was that person. I would throw garbage. I would just finish a packet of crisps and throw the packet of crisps out the window.
Yeah,
Saw no value in life. Mother
yeah,
Nature, myself,
yeah,
just took it all for granted.
yeah.
And yeah, we're born, and the one thing that's granted to us is death.
Mm.
It's such an amazing opportunity. It's such an amazing opportunity, really, because that's the one thing that's been promised to us. We're born to die.
What a gift. Yeah,
Yeah, time is such a commodity, and so far, and that's what I came to realize. Really, like I saw no value in myself. So of course I saw no value in anyone else, and I saw no value in the world, and put myself in a box. We put ourselves in a box when we have infinite potential. Really,
yeah,
there is another thing as well. It's I mean, how did we go to school, right? Our parents, right?
yeah.
Get to school.
Right, right, right.
But we finished school and this and the other. Uh, and and then we do mundane jobs. Oh God, I could talk about this, but we do mundane jobs, and we just live here in a piece of the planet when there's so much to it. And um, look, like I said, there's so much I could speak about this because, for one, as well, like I'm 36 years old, and this was a realization, really. I mean, up until now. 36 years old was a whole accumulation of who I am right now, before the book, let's say. But then, but I was already prepared. I was already assuming I was going to be I was already committed. I was going to be a plasterer all my life.
Yeah.
Miserable. I hate my job.
Mm.
But this whole thingy that, but yeah, money, I can't give myself education. It's too late. I'm a dad now, and blah, blah, blah.
No, you're the example, right? You can do anything. Anyone can do anything. Because Antonio did it. He wrote a beautiful book, right? That he's sharing with the world. Incredible.
It's
Yeah,
true.
so if you were gonna tell everybody in the world one thing, I mean they could read your book, but if people just heard these next couple sentences, right? Maybe it's the thing that's impacted you the most, right? What would you tell everybody?
Oh, what would I say? I'm going to say something really crazy then.
Good.
And it's making me nervous
I'm ready.
because
I'm here.
I'm still integrating.
Mhm.
We Science at the minute is not spoken about. A lot of the stuff that's going on scientifically. There's a company, for example, called CERN over in Switzerland, and for a long time, for about 40 decades now, 4 decades now, 40 decades is a long time.
That's
That's
long, yeah.
400 years, right? Um, they've been there conducting studies to find out what makes up the fabric of all reality, really.
Yeah.
And What I mean to say with this is like there's a lot that's been now proven scientifically
Mhm.
that we live in this 3D plane, and that there's a lot more to this to our five senses. There's
Mhm.
a lot more than what we can perceive, and that is life. What we now know. So, for example, us standing right here, this is our metaphysical reality so far as our physical reality,
Yeah.
but there's more to this reality that we
Mhm.
know, and that's been proven so far as
Mhm.
there's a spiritual side, and
Yeah.
and there's so much that we don't know, that we do know, but that we just look. This is what I really wanted to say. We are generally souls having a human experience. This is just a fraction of reality. We're in a 3D plane. There's a guy called Mickey Ukaku, and he's our modern day Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
And he's got this hypothesization so far as called string theory. They managed to prove that we have up to 12 dimensions. That so far as what our technology
Yeah.
can
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 detect.
can detect.
Mhm.
And so that's just what I want to leave you. I mean, think about it. It's been proven that we've got up to 12 dimensions. I mean, CERN over in Switzerland, they openly admit on their website that they open up portals, go through different realities.
Mhm.
This is where who was Stephen Hawkins. He
Yeah.
was it was a very reason why he asked them not to open up a black hole. Now think
Mhm.
about why do you think they were trying to open up a black hole? Because they were trying to open up a stargate.
Mhm.
Stephen Hawkins literally begged them not to do so because it was madness. So we could just suck up our own planet.
Yeah.
Uh, but this is where the whole Mandela effect come from, and this and the other. But so far as all the metaphysical science and quantum physics, it's not really spoken about. So this is why I want to leave you with that. And I'll leave you with this. Look, internet was only formed what 20 years ago, 30
Right.
years ago,
Right.
and everyone remember when the first mobile phone?
Uh-huh.
And it's not long till we got like robots roaming the streets. It's no longer a time to ignorance is a choice. Really,
Yeah.
that's the day. That's the world we live in now, and I'm a
Yeah.
true testament for that. Really, that's the reason why I wrote the book. When I came
Uh-huh.
to find out a lot of the knowledge I came to learn, I just felt like it was my moral obligation to speak up about the experiences I've had,
Yeah.
what it means to have a spiritual awakening, what it means to really come to understand so far as what life means, and and that was a big aha moment for me. Really, was that it was a relief, really, that there is God, that there is
Mm.
a God, and that there is more to life than what I perceived than I perceived reality. Because I was really sad. I couldn't deal with life. I couldn't deal
Yeah.
with reality. I can deal with the way the world was. I can deal with the history. I can deal with the thought of where we're going as a species. And I've got children, and to think I was just going to suffer my whole life. And then when I came to realize, so far as everything that's been suppressed, and it's yeah.
Well, it's yet to emerge, right? And but the core of what you're saying is that I'm hearing you say is how uh spirituality and believing in something bigger than yourself, right, has been another one of those stones, right, that you pushed off of rock bottom, right? It's gotten that's beautiful that all the ways you now think about your life and all the things you consider and all I see in you, you're recognizing your power to serve, right? Whether it's yourself, your children, and now you're talking about the world, right? And yeah, you're a role model for that. That's so beautiful, and I can't wait for the world to read all about you and have their own awakenings.
Thank you.
Yeah. So thanks for talking with me today.
Thank
Um, yeah, I'm gonna stop the recording here, and then we can
you.
talk.
Bye. Thank
We
you
can
for
talk
watching.
after. All right.